Kaiba 4chan VTuber is one heck of a way to start a recording. I got no idea what this is about. I'm also not really sure how I should feel. Should I be scared? Should I look forward to what kind of funny thing this is about to be? I don't know. But anyways, we're about to find out. If you guys haven't already, go and support Bumbles. Link very top of the description, like always.
Kaiba's 4chan VTuber. Dude, I am just putting words together at random now. What the hell does that mean?
Right.
Konami has done a very good job thus far, making sure the player base can't ruin any of its ongoing events. Normally, they leave that up to themselves by playing hentai at their world championship, or hosting a normal Shadow Duelist tournament. There was one, now long-forgotten event though, that did feel the full force of the internet's wrath, before doing the impossible and turning it around into a win. The event itself was a Duel Links event, which will have its own unique events from time to time that turn the game into a board game, but this was a different type of game altogether. The event Konami had planned was closer to the Shadow Duelist tournament, with various players playing in preliminaries, this time against popular figures in the card game and anime space, before taking on a final boss duelist. The twist this time was that instead of inventing a new character to host the tournament would be hosted by none other than Seto Kaiba himself, represented here by a VTuber-style PNG of his default render from the game.
Okay.
This would be accompanied by actual, live running commentary from Kaiba's official English voice actor, Eric Stewart.
I mean, on paper, that doesn't sound like a bad idea.
This was the Virtual Kaiba Challenge. They've never done this before, or since, and it's such an interesting idea.
Yeah.
I want to say cool, but interesting is a much more apt phrase, because it's interesting how Konami let an event like this go forward when there was so much that could have potentially gone wrong. You have three creators, Slushy, Kriparian, and ProZD, dueling random Twitch chatters for days as Kaiba is on the sideline doing running commentary and throwing out insults. This was an event that required consistent, in-character improv from Eric Stewart. The guest.
Yeah, that must be kind of insane that you had to be playing this character and coming up with commentary the entire time for whatever possible situation you could run into. It's just, yeah, it's a lot of character acting there. Hopefully the guy got paid well for this, because, yeah, it's pretty insane work.
To have enough knowledge of the game to put up a decent challenge, and hope the average Twitch chatter wouldn't try to find a way to mess with the tournament. There were some issues early on, namely Eric's mic being buried in concrete, but Slushy's portion of the stream went off relatively well. Kriparian's section was less well put together, since despite being a world-renowned Hearthstone player, you can't get a truck driver and put him behind the wheel of a Formula 1 race car. His skills didn't transfer gracefully, and he ended up going 1-7 in the whole event.
Oh, damn. Well, to be fair, between all the different card games, yeah, there may be some set of skills that carry over, but I do think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is quite unique in the way that it plays and how you have to approach it, and plus the amount of knowledge that is required in order to play proficiently against certain archetypes and just being proficient with the own archetype that you've chosen. It's not exactly like going from poker to playing blackjack or anything like that. Like, yeah, you get it. It's pretty simple. You understand.
ProZD, meanwhile, got the brunt of the abuse since he was at the center of a conspiracy started on 4chan. Users on the VG board were watching the tournament closely since it had the chance for audience participation, which meant the audience could ruin it. After dozens of attempts, one of the members was able to enter a room and was paired up against ProZD. Okay, now what? It's gotta be something heinous, so what's the worst thing we could do in the entire game? Make him play against weather painters.
Okay, I'm actually quite familiar with the weather painter archetype, and that is because when I was trying to introduce Kiwi to playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In Master Duel, This was one of the archetypes that she gravitated towards. I myself have played them a little bit. I'm curious to know exactly why this is going to be like toxic, because I guess I can kind of see them constantly bouncing your cards back into your hand being a bit annoying. I'm not really sure how they would play in Duel Links though, and perhaps they have new mechanics by now. But from my personal experience playing the deck in Master Duel, there were plenty of ways to get around it.
Competitively viable decks available at the time in Duel Links, Weather Painter was the best option to make the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Look like dog shit. First off, it's a slow control deck.
Yep.
Weather Painters aren't known for explosive turns with massive damage numbers, and instead are all about slowly breaking the opponent down with a combination of strong effects and useful spells and traps. Weather Painter's whole gimmick is actually their spell and trap lineup, as monsters in the same column as the spell or trap played will gain a new effect. The fact that this is an inherited effect of the spell or trap means it won't show up in the effect text of the monster, but will show up when the effect is activated, meaning that it will look like the player using Weather Painters is activating effects not on the card. It makes sense when it's explained out like that, but nobody would be there to explain how the cards worked to Pro ZD when
Oh no, the poor dude. It's going to be kind of confusing for people who don't read everything about the archetype and all the cards. Because yeah, it's like the effect text isn't on the card that is activating the effect. Like what the heck, man? What is going on? Considering the fact that Duel Links seems to be a much slower format, I suppose they're probably okay or pretty good to be played in Duel Links, I would assume. Just judging from Bumbles' commentary as well. Maybe they got some new support, because it has been a while since I last played Yu-Gi-Oh! But yeah, like, their entire game plan doesn't feel, to me at least, like it could be viable in like an actual TCG format. Absolutely love the art style, though.
he was playing. Secondly was the calling card. How are we gonna let people know that 4chan was behind this? Well, that's where Sneed posting comes in. Sneed posting references a season 11 episode of The Simpsons called EI Annoyed Grunt, where Homer visits a store called Sneed's Feed and Seed, formerly Chuck's. The joke with the sign is that if it's called Sneed's Feed and Seed now, when it was owned by Chuck, it would have been Chuck's. Well, I think you get it. Actually, I don't. You're really dumb. It would have been called Chuck's Fucking Suck. The joke became massive on 4chan, with it eventually evolving into Sneed posting. Posting about the Sneed scene whenever possible, and especially when it was wildly inappropriate. So they had the operation all planned out. Operative Sneed was armed with cards very few had ever read, and they sent him out into the field to make a name for himself and ruin the event. The game Sneed played against Pro ZD was biblically boring. It's a game of slow playing, purposefully missing lethal, and dragging out the game to confuse and frustrate the organizers as much as possible. All with the hope that Kaiba might actually say Sneed. While he wouldn't during the course of the game, they did get a second chance as Sneed somehow made it to day 2 and would be taking on Kaiba himself. The game goes about as well as you could expect, with Sneed dominating, until the very end when Kaiba admits defeat.
That was an excellent.
Yeah. I guess I'm gonna have to concede that match. But it doesn't mean you're any good.
They did it. Kaiba had actually been wizened up to the joke.
If you need to take a second to appreciate that move, go ahead and take one.
What? No, this can't be happening.
You'll need it.
Oh my god! Kaiba at the very end started comboing Sneed puns, and it turned what could have been an embarrassing moment for Konami into an incredible moment for the community. They realized 4chan was trolling them, and decided to play along. For a split second at the start of Game 3, they even changed the Game 3 text at the top to Feed and Seed, just to...
Yeah, honestly, this went about as well as it possibly could have. I wonder who realized it first, right? Like, when did the process happen, and did everybody know it from the start? Regardless though, especially considering the amount of community participation in this, and likely what has happened in the past whenever we've done events like this. You probably want to be prepared for stuff like this, so maybe they had something in mind that something along these lines could potentially happen. So like, how do you deal with it, right? Without completely ruining the flow of a tournament? Yeah, if it's not that harmful, you can just play into it.
Make sure the message was clearly sent. When you hear 4chan has gotten involved in a contest or with some sort of fan event, you
Usually
assume
bad.
somebody's going to Alaska. But this might be one of the very few times both sides actually came out perfectly fine. Jeff Jones on Nicktoons. How did you watch Yu-Gi-Oh! As a kid? For a lot of people, the answer is on Kids WB or during the 4Kids programming block next to shows like TMNT and Sonic X on Fox.
The answer usually is this. My answer is I did not, unfortunately. I apparently did not have a childhood.
Along with showings on channels like Cartoon Network as time went on, this is where a majority of people got their Yu-Gi-Oh! Fix. 4Kids' high status, thanks to their dubbing of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh!, meant they could afford to air on high-profile networks like these, getting their product out to as many people as possible. As their power decreased and the 2000s went on, they would be pushed around a bit, downgraded to the Toonzai block, and pushed to the CBS affiliate channel CW. Eventually, when that block ended, the rights to air Yu-Gi-Oh! In America would float around to various channels before largely ending up on Nickelodeon. The reason for this program shifting was thanks to that bankruptcy we talked about before, as now 4Kids didn't have the capital to afford to air on channels like Fox, and had to shop the show around to make up the difference. Zexal would start airing on the secondary channel Nicktoon in 2013 and would stay there through Arc 5. Vrains would start airing on the streaming platform Pluto TV, and Sevens onward would be on Disney XD. Back when the show was airing on Nicktoons, though, they would actually try to put some stake behind it and produce a few bumpers to hype up the series. In order to do that, they would recruit pro duelists to film bumpers for Arc 5 explaining how the new pendulum summoning mechanic worked. These included players Robert Boyajian, Jarrell Winston, and Jeff Jones talking about how pendulum summoning worked, what it could be used for, and advanced techniques like Xyz pendulum summoning, which was an Xyz summon following a pendulum summon.
Oh!
There isn't a whole lot to these, but I think it's remarkable the amount of effort put into a promo for a show at arguably the trough of its cultural relevance on a channel that now exclusively shows SpongeBob reruns to get real pro players to educate kids on how the game worked.
I think on one hand, you can view it as like a lot of money put into it, a lot of effort put into it for not a whole lot of gain back. But I think personally in situations like this, and you can kind of like expand this into several other things as well, but like if you're not putting in the effort in the first place, then it's like it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Like take for example a video game that has some co-op features that are there. They're not the greatest, but they're there and they exist. Some people engage with it and say that they want more of the co-op, but because the co-op itself isn't like the focus and it's not that great, the majority of the player base doesn't really engage with that mechanic. And so as the developer seeing these statistics on that, you're like, oh, okay, then people don't want co-op. But in reality, if we had just put in more effort into that, we had invested more time and promoted it more, then perhaps that's exactly what people wanted from this game. It's just you never gave us the chance to actually want it. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a bit of a risky move considering the amount of money and time you would have to put into implementing something like that. Or in this case, doing these sort of advertisements. Although I would think probably getting the pro players didn't cost that much more funds, did it? Regardless though, it's a neat little thing to do for the community. All the people who love your product already and are trying to help promote it in their own way, so why not just make it official?
The Zexal Shout Cards. I'm surprised it's taken this long to talk about prize cards. We sort of talked about it back when discussing Yu-Gi-Oh's pricing problem, but it's a more interesting topic than in just that context. Seeing as Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't do cash prizing and only gives out consoles and cards to winners, why not make those cards special? Yu-Gi-Oh's always had to be real careful, though, with how these cards are handled, because in the early days, these prize cards were mechanically unique meta cards. Before their reprinting, cards like Crush Card Virus and Cyberstein, two of the strongest cards from their era, were prize cards. This made for a really odd power system, where the best cards were in the hands of players who just proved they didn't need them.
Is this a metaphor for capitalism? You're already winning. The people who are winning only win more.
They were the best of the best, and now just got a lot stronger with cards nobody else had access to. This would continue with later prize cards like Dark End Dragon and number 106 Giant Hand, which were extremely strong and only made widely available after they had already sorta lived out their lifespan. The solution to this was to stop printing mechanically unique cards that were intended for play and position the prize cards as more luxury items and trophies that didn't serve a purpose in the game.
It's kind of curious how this wasn't the plan in the first place, because creating something that people can use legally in a tournament that is wholly unique and only they can possess it is kind of insane when it comes to balancing. Because obviously you want to make the effect of that card desirable, but the more desirable you make it, it likely means the more powerful that effect will be, and only a couple people will have it. I don't know. I just don't think that's a good idea in the first place. Just have the card be a trophy, be symbolic of their victory here. They own it, they can't really use it in a tournament, but it commemorates their victory.
This gave rise to the Match Winner series of cards. These are monsters of various types that all share an effect of needing to be tribute summoned with 3 tributes of the same type, and upon direct attack wouldn't just win the game, but the entire match. If you pull off a match win effect in the first duel of a best of 3, you instantly win the best of 3. There have been 39 different match winners printed over the years, with a trend emerging later on in their lifespan. When handed out at a world championship, the match winner would actually be themed around the event they were won at.
That's very
in
cool.
2013, the world championship was held in Las Vegas, Nevada.
The Eternal
So
Golden
the match
City.
winner cards, Grandopolis the Eternal Golden City, and Entertainment Hero Pit Boss were themed after Las Vegas, with Grandopolis being the city itself, and Pit Boss being a dealer in a casino. In 2014 in Italy, the prize cards were Leonardo's Silver Skyship and the Twin Kings, founders of the Empire, based on Leonardo da Vinci and the founders of Rome, Romulus and Remus. Remus had a good idea for a city name. Romulus had a better one. These all share another common trait, a little bit of text at the bottom of the card outside the effect text, specifying they're illegal for use in an official duel. This is text it shares with the Colored Border God cards, the Duelist Kingdom cards, Everybody's Hero, the Caricature cards, and, weirdly, Card of Last Will, a kind of strong trap card from a legendary collection that they decided was so strong it should be illegal. There's one more series of illegal cards that also count.
I don't think I read that in time. I saw attack goes to 0 from a monster they control. You draw 5 cards. Drawing 5 cards? Kind of insane. And I'm pretty sure it's not that hard to get your attack down to 0. Like, there's plenty of effects, whether monster or spell effects, that could do that for you.
As prize cards, and are the most badass fucking Yu-Gi-Oh cards ever printed. The Shout series. Setup for this one, Yuma is a cheater. Like, I know everybody in Yu-Gi-Oh is cheating all the time, but Yuma kinda puts his own spin on it. Yuma's shining draw is the ability to take a card he just drew and turn it into the card he actually needs. A lot of people
I did not know about that about Yuma. But I mean, it's the heart of the cards, except now it's an actual ability.
who only kinda sorta read a plot summary of Zexal on Reddit hold this against him as a reason Zexal sucks. But then Yugi attacks the moon and it's not really that big of a deal. The Shout cards are a series of prize cards handed out in advanced tournament packs in Japan in 2014. Creator of Hope, Winning Formula, and Creator of Miracles. Each one of these cards references a moment in Zexal where Yuma bent the rules, with the main draw of the cards being their activation condition. They're the only cards in the game whose activation is dependent on what you say. Not like declaring a card name for Crossout Designator. I mean, to activate Creator of Hope, you have to shout, "I'm feeling the flow!"
And that's why they're called the Shout cards. I see. Honestly, it's a really fun idea. I kinda like it.
Then you're allowed to stack your deck. Winning Formula lets you special a number from your extra deck by saying, "The winning formula is complete!" And Creator of Miracles lets you special out a Chaos Utopia by shouting, "Zexal Field!" These were never intended for serious play.
Oh yeah, no.
But if you have a problem with saying stupid stuff when playing your cards, you're about to get eaten alive in Yummy format. If you don't...
I have no idea what Yummy format is doing. They do look quite cute, but maybe they're like an absolute menace right now in the meta. Because I have heard of them.
say, "I summon Cupsy Yummy," and wink where the star is in the name, you're getting banned and beaten by the cops. Darkness predicts future Yu-Gi-Oh! Seasons. Yu-Gi-Oh! Was so good at predicting Nazca.
Wait, what? Darkness predicts future Yu-Gi-Oh! Seasons. Which darkness are we talking about? Are we talking about Darkness from Konosuba? That's the only one I'm thinking of immediately. Just right off the top of my head.
Lines, why not predict itself? As the villain of the undubbed Season 4 of G...
Okay. You know, that makes a lot more sense. Would be really funny, though, if Konosuba was predicting Yu-Gi-Oh! Seasons.
GX, I doubt many people are actually aware of Darkness. For a crash course, close your eyes. There is. Darkness is GX's final antagonist. A Bakura analog that's been present the whole time in the form of Atticus Rhodes and his Night Shroud persona, finally making his proper horny appearance during the show's endgame. While he certainly follows a lot of the final boss tropes, like a busted-ass deck, formal way of speaking, and minimal screen time, I do really like how Darkness parallels Jaden and the story of GX as a whole. In a story all about finding passions and building bonds, Darkness is the invert, finding strength in cold, calculated misery. With his explanation that he's doing all of this out of a logical understanding of the world, it means he is a being totally without passion. He's not doing this because he wants to, he's doing it because it's the way things should be. His duel with Jaden has plenty of memorable moments, like the merging of Yubel and Neos into Neos Wiseman, and the birth of God Neos. What we're talking about, though, is during the duel, when Darkness tries to convince Jaden that Earth is beyond saving. He starts his story with a card creating the universe, before pointing out the abnormal weather, unnatural occurrences, unstoppable disputes, and terrorism. The theory goes that each of these predictions from Darkness aren't random, but actually predict the next couple of series of the show by referencing key events. In order, the first thing to happen is in 5Ds. Darkness's prediction of unnatural occurrences could apply to a lot of things, from the Mechlord genocide to the energy reactor meltdown.
Okay, it's a fun theory to think about, but the things that he said are pretty generic enough that you can likely bend them to fit with whatever scenario needs to be there. Maybe that was an idea given that dialogue choice, but, you know, it doesn't really feel like anything concrete just yet, unless if there's more evidence to suggest this.
With 5Ds' hyper-mechanization compared to past series, there's very little left natural in the world, which would make all of these mechanical meltdowns artificial or unnatural. Zexal's example keys on so perfectly, it makes the whole theory more plausible by its inclusion. The first thing Darkness refers to is a card creating the universe. In the beginning, there was a single card who ignited all life in the universe. This is, word for word, the Numeron code from Zexal, a card that created the universe and contains all knowledge that is and ever will be.
Okay.
With every other one, you have to do a bit of tweaking to the wording and a bit of creative reading.
But yeah, this one is pretty direct. That's probably an idea that they had for a future series. Because thinking about it, right, like, I'm pretty sure the manga wasn't that much further ahead than when the GX released. At least I'm assuming. Which means that this hadn't been a plot point yet, but it was a part of perhaps Kozuki Takashi's plan. That or just a general idea of what he wanted to implement into the universe at some point.
But not with this one. This one's dead on. Arc 5 is one of the looser ones, but Darkness mentions terrorism, and if there's a better way to describe what the Leo Institute does to the Xyz dimension, I can't think of it. When Darkness refers to ceaseless conflict, this could apply to Zexal as well, but since the universe-creating card keys on so exactly, I'm shifting this one over to Vrains.
Yeah.
If you remember back to the entry about Vrains' original ending, I talked about how I looked into thousands of simulations about how humans and AI could coexist, and found it to be impossible. Sentient computer programming cannot live alongside humans, and one of them has to go. In that original ending, it would have concluded with that ceaseless conflict being seen through to the end, with only I and Yusaku left. And abnormal weather refers to that one time in Sevens when it rains but the schedule said it wouldn't. There was always going to be one that didn't fit.
Yeah, there you go.
Genocide is present in every Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. Still think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a kid's show? Well, yeah. Just one with genocide. Like Avatar. And SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Filthy f***ing nematodes. Dark subject matters are not foreign to Yu-Gi-Oh! Every series...
I think dark subject matters shouldn't be foreign to stuff made for children. I forget what the exact quote is from the person who created Caroline. It's like, yeah, you want to shield kids from the most horrible stuff out there, but having them be completely innocent and unknowing of all these things is probably not a good idea when they go out into the world. Because you can't be there with them all the time, right? But it's really about how you present it and how you provide solutions or the knowledge that they can indeed overcome this darkness and not fall prey to it.
Regardless of the general vibe, will deal with heavier topics, and I'd say they do a good job with most of them. One theme that pops up in every series, though, is the topic of genocide. In every series, some group is being systematically wiped out, and it's up to the main cast to either stop it, look on helplessly, or in some cases, participate. Duel Monsters starts the trend with the Kul Elna massacre. Kul Elna was a town of criminals and thieves that existed back in ancient Egyptian times, and was the town unlucky enough to be selected by Akhenaten to be wiped out. With mounting threats from outside nations, he enacted a plan to create the Millennium Items, which would require the souls of 99 people to construct. Akhenaten had the village slaughtered and had their body parts thrown in with the gold used to create the items, which imbued them with the power they have now.
Oh damn, dude. This sounds like some dark fantasy shit. This would be like in Berserk or Claymore or something.
Not only does this lead to Thief King Bakura's eventual attack against the Pharaoh, and set the entire series into motion, it even has effects that last into GX's manga. In the GX manga, the final villain Tragodia is another massacre survivor, like Bakura, that similarly had so much hatred and pain that it manifested into Tragodia. Speaking of GX, not only does Darkness's plan for total global destruction involve the death of everybody on the planet, but one arc previous had superpolymerization. Superpolymerization was a lot like the Millennium Items, where it was all-powerful, but required a huge amount of souls in order to complete. When Jaden becomes the Supreme King and takes the nearly completed Super Poly, he decides to make up the weight of missing souls by slaughtering the Duel Academy students who had been transported to the Spirit World with his Colosseum of Death. 5Ds was kind enough to label its genocide as such with the Mechlord Genocide. The energy resource Energy, invented by Yusei's father, had been corrupted by overuse and malicious intent, causing it to spiral out of control. As a result, the Energy was able to manifest the Mechlords, an army of robots with the ability to capture and control the synchro monsters that were used to abuse Energy. Mechlords rampaged across the planet and killed a large amount of the population. until a man who embodied Yusei's core values, to the point of changing his face to look like Yusei, discovered that purging yourself of evil intent was enough to pacify the mech lords. Of course, it was all too late, and the energy ignited and blew up itself, the mech lords, and all but 4 remaining cyborg survivors. Zexels is...
Hot damn. Oh, okay, well, shit. The shit goes down in 5 days. Also, was not expecting to see Sherry there. I thought she was kind of like a one-and-done character. But yeah, just as a reminder, I haven't finished 5 days. I've only seen like half of it.
The entire plot of the show, as the conflict between Baryon World and Astral World won't end until the other is gone. Neither side can coexist while the other is around, and they've been waging war for centuries to try to permanently put the other side down. Arc 5's genocide is with the Xyz dimension. Originally, it was just like every other dimension, simply a slightly remixed version of its associated anime. In this case, Zexal. However, the fusion dimension, led by Leo Akaba, invaded as a means to try to reunite the disparate dimensions back into the original one that it was before Zark fractured it. The plan to reunite them all involved massacring the Xyz dimension to use their souls as fuel for the fusion process, which led to the dimension becoming a hellscape, and the survivors like Yuto and Shay escaping to other dimensions to try to stop Leo's plan. It's been mentioned a few times, but the one for brains is the war between the humans and the Ignis. Going purely based on what's in the original story and not the alternate ending, the humans do end up winning. Each Ignis is picked off one by one until all that's left is I. And once Yusaku's done with him, the entire Ignis species has been wiped out. The only series thus far to avoid killing a whole ton of people is Sevens, which you'd think meant this new era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Wouldn't include genocide, but no. The Sevens follow-up, prequel, sequel, midquel, Go Rush, features the Velgarian War. And I'll be straight with you, I don't know enough about Go Rush to really explain that one.
Okay.
Call it a blind spot, but after going through a whole rabbit hole of wiki articles, my head was spinning.
I mean, hey, that's fair. I mean, there's already a lot of topics that we've covered so far, so it's kind of an insane amount of research already done. Though, to be completely fair, I think if you try to apply this sort of logic to a lot of shonen stuff, you'll probably find similar themes in quite a few of them. It's an important thing to address because I think, unfortunately, it kind of is a part of human history, kind of also a part of human nature.
Yu-Gi-Oh! In other mangas. Involving fans in the creative process of manga creation by accepting fan designs is a time-tested way to make readers way more attached to a story by giving them the chance to engage with it in a whole different way.
I mean, I think it's also a good idea to simply just promote other artists out there who maybe haven't found a platform or a way to really express themselves to inspire the next generation, right? But for the people already at that level, they can kind of get inspiration for ideas in the future and kind of build upon that. I think those kind of contests are just really cool, and I hope that companies do more of them.
It's because everybody wants to be like the f***ing king. Yu-Gi-Oh! Itself is no stranger to this. We talked at length about various cards that would be turned into the real deal that started as fan designs. But a funny inversion of that happens when newer manga that are released after Yu-Gi-Oh! Open up the floodgates to fan submissions. The kids who grew up reading and playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Would see these open calls for character designs in the manga they were reading and would submit Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards as their characters. Importantly, these were not characters based on Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. These were just the monsters from the cards. They might as well have sent in a picture of Goku and said, "Put him in Mixmasters, please!" Among these include the manga adaptation of the series Deltora Quest, which in its fan-submitted creature design section included embodiment of Apophis. Another example of this exact thing is with the series Zatchbell. A few of the Momoto characters in the series were accepted from fan designs, and among the characters submitted was one kid's illustration of Woodland Sprite, currently avoiding the chair for his crimes in Duel Links. In these cases, it's honestly kind of adorable. These
Yeah.
were kids excitedly trying to participate in their favorite series and make them cross over with their other favorite series. And in some cases, like the Zatchbell one, they would even get a little author note complimenting their design. And it's not like this was an uncommon practice, stealing designs to put in other series based on fan designs. As much as I love Kaniku Man, if the people behind Gold Lighten never came after Sunshine, I really couldn't make any argument. However, with this many examples, there has to be one that actually made it into the series, and wouldn't you guess it? There is! Enter Mitsutoshi Shimabukuro, author of Toriko. I'll mention it if you ask nicely, but it doesn't really apply to what we're talking about. Toriko had a section for fan submissions to turn into monsters in the story. And one submission was traced artwork of the monster Flyfang from the pack Generation Force.
Oh no.
You can see it even has the little kid hallmarks of not really understanding what shading is, and unlike the others, this is much more directly a tracing of the original monster rather than a redrawing like Woodland Sprite or Apophis.
I mean, hey, yeah, those were indeed redrawings. This might be a trace, but it's a little kid's attempt at trying to get something that they enjoy into another thing that they enjoy. It's hard to criticize it. That's probably on the creator's end, though, to make sure that it's not some sort of plagiarism. They're not ripping something off, which I'm sure with any sort of community event, that's going to happen.
And wouldn't you guess it, it actually made it into the series. Shimabukuro liked the design enough and went ahead and included it. I don't really know what the legal recourse is for a series using a copied design submitted by a fan, since it's not like the author knew.
Yeah, it's not like it. They probably should have checked, but also, it's not like a one-to-one thing. It's a flying shark. So, it's not exactly the most unique idea out there ever. It's probably fine, I would assume, because it's also in a different art style, too. But yeah, I'm also just not as familiar when it comes to copyright within the art world. I already have enough of a headache dealing with it here on YouTube.
Obviously he didn't, but maybe that's why they were redesigned in the anime to be turned into sawfish.
Oh.
Upper
Well,
Deck
that's a detail I
Seal of
didn't know.
Orichalcos. The Orichalcos
Perhaps.
arc of the original anime is one of the most interesting in the entire series. I didn't say good. Bringing back side characters, bringing the Pharaoh's moral character into question, separating the Pharaoh from his better half for most of the arc, there's a reason so many people look back on it fondly. One of the most interesting parts, though, was the titular field spell the arc revolved around. The Seal of Orichalcos is a super interesting card for its effects on gameplay and the lore baked into it. Allowing for an additional row of monsters to summon for an even bigger wave to beat through, the flat damage boost, and the biggest of them all, the soul wager that came along with it. The loser of a duel where the seal is activated loses their soul, and it gets sent to Darts for him to use to fuel the Leviathan's revival. This made every duel feel important and dangerous. Even if the heroes didn't want to, they had to potentially kill somebody by taking their souls to get closer to their goals. And every duel brought the villain's plan closer to reality. Seeing players like Joey try to think of a way to save people like Rex and Mai from having their souls taken makes for really compelling writing. And it's easy to see why this card in particular stuck with so many people.
Yeah, I mean, it provides consequences to a battle, which is something that a lot of series tend to forget about. That or they're too afraid to even give consequences to their characters and the decisions that they made. Not having any just creates stale writing, so I'm glad that we've implemented a tool like this to give our characters some motivation to kind of think outside the box.
But what if you wanted to use it? You could be trusted. You won't use it for evil, right? It would take a long time for a proper Seal of Orichalcos to be printed, but it would eventually come out in the TCG exclusive pack, Legendary Collection 3, Yugi's World. Only in America would we sanction a card that can kill children. The card was hotly anticipated, and hyped up by a promo image saying that the text was just a placeholder, because the real effect was so powerful, the card burst into flames when the effect was written on it.
Sure.
They wanted you to know that this card was going to be insanely strong. And when it was finally printed, this shit sucks.
Let's see here. All monsters you control gain 500 attack. Once per turn, this card cannot be destroyed by card effects. While you control 2 or more face-up attack position monsters, your opponent cannot target your monsters with the lowest attack for an attack. If this card is activated, destroy all special summon monsters you control. What? You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. You can only activate the Seal of Orichalcus once per duel. Nani the fuck? Why would you destroy all your special summon monsters? Unless if there was like specific decks that required it to be destroyed on your turn, maybe? Or like you just have special summon monsters that have an effect when they go to the graveyard. But also this is like it's a field spell, right? Pretty sure that's a symbol for a field spell. Assuming you also don't really have a way to search this, so you kind of play it with the hopes that it comes into your hand and it plays out the one strategy that you have to destroy your own special summon monsters. Because the whole gaining attack thing and the not attacking attack position monsters that have the lowest attack, kind of ass. I don't really think that matters that much.
The Seal of Orichalcos is ass, super ass, turbo ass, championship edition ass. This thing is sucking doo-doo batter through a straw straight from the spigot. Oh my god! Positive effects. It gives you 500 attack to all your monsters.
Yeah.
It was immune to effect destruction, and it protected your weakest monster from battle. Okay. Negatives. Destroys all the special summoned monsters you control when it's played, locks out the extra deck, and can only be activated once per duel. The paper didn't burn because the effect was too strong, it was suicide to preserve its dignity. Get this trash effect off of me! All of the Orichalcos support cards were terrible. Shunaros, Divine Serpent Ge, both complete trash, but those didn't have the expectation that the seal did.
Yeah, especially when you have such an important role for it in the show, and then it comes out looking like this. No wonder why I have like no idea about any of these cards or the 2 other cards that were associated with it. Never seen them before, never seen anybody play it.
Didn't even line up with the anime version. Not just playing monsters in the back row, the no extra deck rule contradicts the Rex duel where he summons a fusion monster. Most importantly, it can't kill people. What's the point of printing the card without the Soul Steal effect? That's the entire appeal! Well, it wasn't the only version of the seal that has ever existed, as prior to this, all the way back in the early 2000s, there was a proper Seal of Orichalcos. This was the Upper Deck Seal of Orichalcos, a version printed for the Duel the Master event that took place at Upper Deck Ran national tournaments.
Let's see here. Impervious to negation, destruction, and removal. Increase attack power. Control back row monsters that cannot be attacked while monsters in the front row. Send this card from your hand to the graveyard to negate and destroy any card. The soul of whichever duelist loses this duel is forfeit to the winner. Now that is a Seal of Orichalcos.
This was a proper seal, coming with the back row effect, damage boost, had the additional effect to discard itself to negate and destroy anything, and was totally unrespondable and invincible. And to top it all off, it even let you kill your opponent if they lost. Of course, this could also be you as well, but live by the sword, die by the sword. You take the good with the bad. This version only exists in limited quantities, as only 15 were ever printed and were given out to Upper Deck Research and Development as a keepsake. A card whose rarity can't even really be quantified since it was never released to the public in any form. But if one ever did turn up, it undoubtedly would be one of the most valuable cards of all time. Seawatts. Minecraft is a game
Yeah?
I f***ing hate. You don't know me well enough to know why I hate it so much. I just hate it so goddamn much. As for what this has
I mean, okay, fair enough. I don't hate Minecraft, but, you know, when the rest of the group were playing a Minecraft server and building stuff, joined them for a little bit. Personally kind of lost interest. I was super into Minecraft back when I was a kid, but I just can't really find any sort of appeal from it nowadays. I think I've lost the magic. It's so sad, man.
To do with Yu-Gi-Oh! I could talk about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Minecraft mod that adds a modified crafting table to the game that allows you to play games a la Dueling Book with the manual play. But instead, I wanted to talk about a popular Minecraft YouTuber, Seawatts. Seawatts' channel has existed for a long time, but it wouldn't start uploading frequently until 2021, with a focus on Minecraft challenges. Playing the Bed Wars game mode without being able to place blocks, only being able to walk on sand, being able to talk to mobs, this found a super fast audience who enjoyed his content. The content he'd eventually become much more well known for, though, was actually a different genre of video called Minecraft storytelling.
I'm not familiar. I don't personally know any Minecraft YouTubers, and the things that I have heard about the Minecraft YouTubers that I do eventually hear about, usually not great. I don't want to paint any sort of like stereotype here, so I'm just gonna leave it be. I just hoping that this doesn't end that way.
Kind of like machinimas from back when I was a kid, these were videos that used Minecraft as a medium to tell a story, like the story of Herobrine or The First Wandering Traveler. These are both videos Seawatts made, and they're two of his most popular. Eventually, Seawatts would even make his way into the most popular Minecraft narrative series in recent memory, Parkour Civilization. Thanks to his own success and his role in Parkour Civilization, this has led him to nearly 2 million subscribers and loads of fan art,
Oh my.
either of him normally or in his Parkour Civilization persona. It's some really impressive artwork. A lot of very talented people enjoy what he makes and have poured their appreciation into some really pretty art.
That's cool.
Except if you noticed, it's kind of familiar. Not immediately noticeable, but if you look at the original model these pieces of art are based on, it might make more sense. Seawatts' Minecraft avatar is Yugi! Specifically, it's the Pharaoh Atem from the Millennium World arc, but it's just him. The lower fidelity of a Minecraft model, though, has led to a loss of a lot of the details that make Atem Atem, like the purple highlights and the yellow bits going along with the crown he wears. I discovered this by accident because God knows I'm not watching Minecraft videos, but I was floored when I realized that all of this fan art was for a character nobody even knew they were drawing. This isn't even the only case.
That's actually hilarious, though. Because of the style that Minecraft is in, nobody knows what that character was supposed to be. They just think it's like an OC. What I'm even more curious about, though, is that if Bumbles hates Minecraft that much, then how did he accidentally discover this? Did he just happen upon the fan art and I was like, wait a minute, that looks kind of familiar. If I had to hazard a guess, probably somebody in the community noticed it and let him know.
Case of this happening in Minecraft. Stampy Longhead is one of the biggest Minecraft YouTubers ever, and one of even fewer to not be a criminal, and his character is
I mean, it's... I didn't want to say it, but I mean, yeah.
Fidget from Dust and Elysian Tale. Big Dog.
Number 10, Summon Dog. Number 6, Bark Magician. Number 8, oh, it's Sword Fisher.
What the fuck am I looking at? What is this assault on my ears? I probably lowered the volume for you guys. Hopefully.
Labrador Soldier. Number 5, Rexodia. Number 4, Ultimate Dragon.
This is a 144p?
Pendulum Machine. Number 2, Celtic Guardian. And number 1,
Guardian.
you already know.
Do I? But of course, we gotta end our videos with the weird thing, right? Honestly though, when we started this video, I thought like the Kaiba 4chan VTuber thing was gonna be crazy and super cringe and whatnot. It actually turned out kind of okay. It was a lot better than I was expecting, that's for sure. But yeah, dudes, I think there's only like one more part to the entire Yu-Gi-Oh! Iceberg, and it's like a video that's about less than an hour, pretty sure. Damn, like I don't recall exactly how much time we spent going through the Yu-Gi-Oh! Iceberg, but we can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think for now, though, we're going to call things here for today. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Hope you guys enjoyed your time here and hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll catch you guys in the next one.